Hey guys, I have another artist spotlight interview with Mohammad Attaran. Welcome to the channel.
Hey, Mike.
Yeah,
Thank you.
that's so good.
It's my pleasure.
I
Thanks.
saw your work and thought your work had really awesome qualities to it. You have like a really wide array of it in terms of like you do like really quirky stuff, and then you do some really kind of realistic stuff, and it's pretty
Thank you.
unique seeing your take on just creatures and things like that. And I thought I really just want to have a talk with you about how you work and how you do stuff, because I saw that you're I think you attempt to model in Zbrush using Z modeler?
Actually, yes. Zbrush is my first software that
Oh,
I do.
nice.
I do most of the work in Zbrush.
Mm.
But recently, I mean, more than a year and a half, maybe,
Yeah.
I have added Inventor to my toolkit, and it's still in progress. I am still trying other softwares
Yeah.
to add them to my toolkits, like Moai 3D and or even Substance Painter. And yeah, I am testing with them, and I am hoping if if I can add them to my toolkits too.
Yeah. We'll have I'll have a look at. Do you want to go through your portfolio? We'll have a look through your portfolio and just have a gander at what you have done.
Yeah.
Just to, I don't know, have a familiarize people with your work.
Can you see it now?
Yeah, your screen's all shared, so when anything that you do, I'll see.
Okay. Yes, this is my art station. I have categorized my projects. Of course, all of them are hard surface designs, and actually 3D hard surface designings, mostly characters. And for example, let's see. It's been about 6 months that I have started a series of works that I redesign creatures, natural creatures,
Yeah,
in a robotic version.
Mm.
Yeah.
The trial is pretty
Mostly
cute.
dogs. Thank you. They are mostly dogs. I love dogs. The different breeds of the dogs.
Mm.
And for example,
really cool.
this. Thank you.
Mm.
This one is what was his name?
It probably doesn't matter. I think.
I I forgot the name. This one is a American Bully, for example.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's really cool.
The main idea was to take a natural creature and turn it into a robotic creature while maintaining its main features, so it can be recognizable easily. It's that was important for me, that if anybody sees this robot, he can recognize what breed exactly it is, and it has to be recognizable.
Yeah, I can figure that out. Yeah, no, it's definitely, you definitely hit the nail on the head. So,
thank you.
There's no like question of that one looks like a little baby tortoise or sea turtle, whatever the little ones you see. Exactly. Yeah, so you can tell. So I thought this one's pretty cool since I'm from Australia.
Yeah, this one was a koala. I did it as a tribute to the firefighters Australia's wildfire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's really
Uh,
cool, that one. That's it's an interesting idea in its own right that you thought about doing that, and that's what I like about your work. So you're thinking um, kind of social stuff and tying work into it, which is always great to see that people do that. And it's like that. It's like a tribute, and it's like saying, look, these koalas are tough, type of thing,
yeah.
which is pretty cool.
Thank you. I have another series of works that are inspired by insects, mostly mantis. I love mantis.
Oh yeah, they're pretty
Uh,
cool. There was
yeah, I think I, I, I just think they have a pretty cool silhouette.
yeah, they do. And if you
Yeah,
if you ever watch them, like a little praying mantis, they're very interesting to watch. They're like they kind of almost like a little ninja, or they're trying to be ready to like if you
yeah,
threaten them to strike
yeah,
you back, type of thing.
yeah, exactly. And I took this small insect and turned it into a robot,
Yeah,
and in a gigantic measurements,
that's
uh,
pretty cool. Yeah,
like a Godzilla, for example.
yeah,
it's
yeah. Is
it's
that
wandering.
just rendered? What was that rendered in?
Uh, Actually, I did this project for the Art Station contest.
Oh, okay.
There, we had to render our works with Dimension. Adobe
Mm.
Dimension. Yeah, so this is almost uh, my only project, which is rendered by something else rather than Kishat.
Oh,
So
okay.
I rendered
Yeah.
uh, Dimension and tons of work in the post.
Yeah.
Uh, Actually, I added all the textures, all the effects, color correction, everything. Uh, I did them in Photoshop. I can
Yeah.
show you later.
Yeah. We'll have a look at that.
Uh, yeah, that was. I want to say this work is like 90% post work
Oh,
rather
really?
than.
It's a lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you got a fair bit. Geometry there. Fair bit. I wouldn't say you've put too much Photoshop. I would say probably less if you've but unless you're talking about the buildings and things like that, which you might be. So, but yeah, we'll have to see.
Yeah. Uh, yeah. I usually put too much time on my post working.
Oh, okay.
Uh, One of the reasons that I do that is I do not design three, my 3D models for game project or animation projects,
Mm.
which so I don't need to uh, unwrap the UVs. Therefore, I can't use Substance Painter. So I have to apply all the texture work uh, in Photoshop,
Oh, okay.
uh, like over painting over.
Even with that one, you've done that in Photoshop.
Yeah,
Oh, really?
yeah,
Even
yeah.
the decal on the back there, you did that.
Everything,
Yeah.
everything
Are you
is.
using Keyshot?
Yeah, yeah.
Well,
I render.
Keyshot has a decal thing that you use. You know that, right? You can lay decals on any surface in Keyshot.
Uh, yeah, yeah. I use that sometimes. I use
Mm.
that too. Uh, but I have more control over it in Photoshop.
Okay.
Sometimes I I apply some repeating textures
Mm.
in Keyshot. Uh, for example, like the texture of the leather
Mm.
on these parts. this is applied in Keyshot,
Yeah.
the bump maps. Yeah.
Okay.
But the other decals and scratches, everything is applied in Photoshop.
All right.
Yeah.
It does work pretty good. I've done that for projects as well from Keyshot, and if you can do a job, you can pretty much do a pretty good job of it, and people won't be able to tell.
Yeah, Keyshot is a perfect tool. And that's really awesome. Is that's like a simple software, but really powerful. Really powerful. It's it's super user friendly, and at the same time, it's really professional. You can create textures by nodes. It's uh, it's kind of node based and really powerful. A strong lighting. Yeah, you have a good control on the lighting and environment, and even some atmospheric effects. Yeah, good.
And it's improving as the years go by, so that's always good. This one's a pretty strong effort as well. Like this is like to do something like this. How long does this take you to do?
Pardon?
How long did this one take you to do?
This one's a different project. I did like 90% of it in Inventor.
Yeah.
It's there's not too much work in Zbrush. It took me, I don't know, like 5 days or 6 days, less than a week. Yeah, I can say. Yeah, I designed all the parts in Inventor, and then I assembled them in Zbrush. For example, for example, there are 3 kinds of arms and legs. You can see them. The back leg is like this, and the other legs are different, and the arms are different. So it's not just designing a leg and just repeating it 10 times around the body. That's why it took me a little longer, but I think I did it pretty fast.
Yeah, you did do it pretty fast. Really good, actually. Yeah.
Thank you. And this time in this project too, I applied all the textures in Photoshop, like the rest. You can see these water effects on the surface, like it's just got out of the sea.
Yeah, it's like water dripping off it and such. Yeah,
exactly. So
one cool effect you could add is barnacles. You get barnacles on the side of the ship.
Pardon?
Barnacles. You know how you have when if you look at a ship, it has those little they're like little crab or like a crest. What are they called? They're like little sea. I'm not sure what they are. They're like sea. I don't know what they're called actually. They're like sea snails or anything like that. It might be like a sea snail that can attach to things like
I had to apply them too. Yeah, good idea. Actually, that's a little difficult to do it.
It would. It would definitely. You'd have to get something to generate. You could probably do it in 3ds Max, where you could like use the particle effects generator and make one and then randomize it. It would actually be easier than you think. It would just It's just that you have to learn how to use the particle generator in Max. It's actually not too bad actually. So, but yeah, that's cool. I like
But I
that
have
color there.
another work. I have another work that I have used those sea snails in another way, of course.
Yeah.
Remind me to show you later.
All right.
This is another render of the crab and me standing here just for the dimensions.
Reference. Yeah, that's cool. I like that.
Thank you. And there are some 2D renders. I wanted to test new Zbrush features for 2D rendering, and
The
I
toon
pretty like
rendering.
that.
Yeah, it's really it works pretty good, doesn't it? The toon rendering.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah,
I really like that, and of course I did some post work on it, but that's cool. But it's overall I can say it's good. The good thing about the 2D rendering effects is that you don't have to spend too much time on polishing your work. That's a good thing.
Yeah.
It removes the surface imperfections. For example, this character, I did it like, I don't know, in 10 minutes. and,
Yeah.
and it's pretty rough. But
yeah.
but it works in for 2D rendering. Yeah, this is a good point of that. And let me see if I can find that that thing I was talking about. Let me show you at the same time. Show you this. This work I did for the coronavirus.
Oh yeah.
It was inspired by the sanitizers. The men they are spraying, sanitizing.
It's pretty cool. Yeah.
That was inspired by them, but I remade that in my own style, which is pretty dark. So it
still cool.
Looks like. Thank you. It looks like the man is spraying the coronavirus itself.
Yeah. Part of the
It's
problem.
super dark. Yeah, this is the reference. And yeah.
That's really cool.
And
so that's Inventor and Zbrush. And
that's a combination of some softwares. I designed the gun, the sprayer, actually, totally in Inventor.
Nice.
And thank you.
Would you say, because I did ask you if you thought Inventor was any better, like it seems like Inventor is a little bit better than Moi. I'm not sure.
We will talk about that. We will talk about that. Let me show you. And this is the mask.
Nice.
The mask is a combination of Inventor and Zbrush.
Okay.
Some, for example, these cables and these leather parts. They are made in Zbrush, but all the hard surface parts are made in Inventor, and all the texture work is done in Photoshop, like always. And there are the concepts, initial concepts.
How are you referencing those in Inventor? Can you import those into Inventor and build over it, or just you have to reference the picture?
I can do that. It's a little difficult though, but you have to export your 3D models as STL, which is for 3D printing purposes. but you can import them into Inventor.
Mm-hmm.
But I usually don't do that. I just use my eyes.
Yeah, just reference it.
uh,
Yeah.
yeah, or sometimes I just import some blueprints. I render some side view photos or front and back views, and I can import those photos as blueprints into Inventor.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
and the clothing is done in Marvelous Designer here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Nice.
Thank you. Except the gloves. The gloves are ZBrush work, but the cloak is Marvelous Designer work. I also simulated the wind in Marvelous.
Oh, okay.
Marvelous.
Nice. I didn't
Yeah,
know it
yeah,
could do
that's the
wind, but I
main.
guess, yeah, that's really
Yeah,
cool.
yeah. Marvelous is not, it's not so long that I have added Marvelous Designer to my arsenals, but
Mm.
that's really cool. I am planning to use it even more in the future. Uh, Before that, that was really difficult for me to sculpt clothing, the wrinkles. Uh, I couldn't get to a natural natural design of the wrinkles,
Mm.
but with Marvelous, it's pretty easy and pretty
Mm.
livable.
Mm.
Uh, uh, so I am planning to use that even more in the future. And let me see if I can find this radar thing. There was a spaceship. Uh, I think I have deleted that from my portfolio.
That's all right. You got plenty more work.
Yeah, yeah, I have deleted that. Yeah. Okay. So these are the works. Uh, this is another work. I was uh, I was designing a portfolio like last year,
Mm-hmm.
and I designed this character uh, for my portfolio. So
The
let's
cat
do it.
man.
Yeah.
Let's have a
Okay.
look.
Yeah, this is mostly ZBrush. A
Mm-hmm.
little Inventor. Those days I was a beginner to Inventor, so I used mostly ZBrush for designing this character.
Okay.
Even these hard surface parts, like engine parts, they are all done in ZBrush.
Mm. It is tricky to do those rounded hard surface parts and incorporate them
Yeah,
in such a way. I think it's probably
exactly,
yeah.
exactly. I I just I did a lot of trial and errors, so I can get to this technique. Uh, so
No, it's you definitely improved since, that's for sure. You can see where because you're doing more it's kind of like you're doing more with your dogs and things like that. You're doing more subdivision surfaces and in a more free kind of flow way. Um, you
yeah,
pull back on that detail a little bit. I feel like you have not there's not where you have a empty area you haven't filled it up. You know how like you get into the habit of filling up every little spot with something. And so I think you're definitely doing that a lot better now.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you. Yes, I have. I am. I am always improving my skills. I am always looking for that. Can you see this new screen or just
Yeah,
the
the
browser?
one I can see your screen, so you can see your browser. Are you in a 3D? Are you in something else? So I think you
Yeah, I
have
am.
to go and change the screen.
Yeah.
It'll ask you to
Can you?
switch it.
Yeah. Can you see that now? You can see
Mm,
this.
just waiting if it's got a delay. Yep, I've got another screen. It's I think
Yeah.
Photoshop ACDC. No, ACDC.
Yeah. Yeah. This is the project that I was talking about. This is like a spaceship flying over the landscape,
Okay.
but nothing important about the spaceship. That's pretty rough, I know, but there's but I got an idea for the landscape. You can see these volcanoes,
Yeah.
and they are not really volcanoes. They are the little creatures next to the sea. I took
Okay.
the
The
photo.
barnacle,
Yeah,
like a barnacle
yeah,
thing.
they are.
All right. Very creepy up
Yeah,
close.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I just that I thought they are really amazing designs.
Yeah, they
You
are.
can see, yeah, they are like volcanoes, but there's like a vent here. They can open, they can close. So they are pretty cool. They are so like extraterrestrial.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
It's
So
very
that
much like
was,
aliens inspired.
yeah, exactly, exactly. Yeah. So I have some other new projects that they are work in progress. I'm not sure uh, if it's cool to show.
Oh, you could show work in progress. Anything that's work in progress is
Yeah,
great. See things progress.
yeah. There's actually a new dog, another dog I am working
Okay.
on.
Yeah.
Yeah, this one is a Dachshund dog. You know, those dogs with long body and short legs.
Like
Uh,
it's like called a sausage dog over here.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Let me show you the reference if you can find it. Uh, let's show you the reference first, and then I will show you my version of design. Yeah, these dogs.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can you?
Definitely. Which
Yeah,
one? What those are? So.
yeah. They're called Dachshund.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
probably
Uh,
definitely a preferred name over a sausage dog.
yeah. uh, I am designing this dog, a robotic version of it,
All right.
and I am recording my procedure,
Oh, nice.
and yeah, I am creating a tutorial
Nice.
about hard surface techniques in Zbrush, and this is the project that I am working on. It's for a Chinese publisher called Yehu.
Oh, yeah. I had them. They contacted me.
So it's it's half done. You can see half part is rough,
Yeah.
and the front half is almost done.
Yeah.
So
Can I ask how you work with ZModeler? Can you show like a little bit? Because I'm curious
yeah,
to
sure.
know. Say with that like shoulder part, you know, the shoulder there, and how you've
Yeah.
made like a
Well,
that geometry sit on top. How you because when I use ZModeler, I just find it really difficult compared to a basic, polygon modeling traditional way. I find it quite frustrating to use in combination. I'm just unsure how you're pulling off your geometry, because I am very
yeah.
familiar with other modeling applications.
Yeah. You can see it's almost done with the modeler. You can see the topology in all the parts. I have done all of them with the modeler, which means it's more like a traditional subdivide modeling, polygon modeling. Um, Actually, it's not a long time that I have tried this technique. Before that, I just used the traditional dynamesh designing.
Yeah.
But recently, I was forced into to learn the modeler.
Okay.
It was for a project which topology was important for the client. So I had to learn working with the modeler. I could use 3ds Max, but I was more comfortable with Zbrush. So I had to improve my skills with the modeler, and I found that this is a really cool feature that Zbrush had, and I wasn't aware of. You can design pretty cool parts and polished like a real hard surface, which is not too easy doing with Dynamesh. Except you, I know you work with Dynamesh and you are really polished your works, but it's not easy for me. This is a skill that you have. But I found that doing this with the modeler can be much easier and faster, and of course you can convert it to Dynamesh and apply alphas or more surface details. But at least it can be used for a basis of the mesh, and the and more details can be applied to it later on. What you are seeing now is just it's only the modeler work. There is no alpha, no Dynamesh, nothing. It's just
how would you start making something with ZModeler and shaping it to this complexity?
Yeah,
and getting, because you've got a lot of cuts, like seams and things like that, and they around the shoulder there, it's pretty good where it's wrapped around the shoulder and it's perfect fit in a sense. How are you going about all this type of work in ZBrush?
I can show you.
Nice.
This is the basis of this dog. I use the sphere, just a really simple form, just to create the basic mesh of the dog, and then I turned it into Dynamesh and sculpted on it by the regular brushes, like clay buildup and or /3, can say like this, and I I just designed a rough uh, robotic version out of that base mesh, and after this, I separate these panels, these different panels. You can see there are some borders on the surface. Uh, I I separate these surface paneling into different polygroups. You can see it. It's actually made of different polygroups. Each each surface, each panel is a unique polygroup. And after doing this, I split these groups into subtools, and then try to I try to turn them into a topologically correct mesh. And for doing that, I use the uh, I, I, I use the Z remesher uh, at first, just to give me a basic topology, but it always needs to be modified.
Mm.
Yeah, and and then I start modifying the topology and adding more surface details. Um,
So
and
with the Z
finally,
modeler, is that a Z remesher? Is that a Z remesh part with the polygroups from, I think, Z remesher? Is that it, or you've modified that to, you've assigned polygroups to that Z remeshed or Z remeshed part, I should say?
no, look, this is just a Dynamesh rough model
Okay, so you've added all those details.
with polygroups for each panel. Okay, I separate these panels. I split these polygroups into different subtools, and let's do it now, for example.
No.
And then I turn this into Z remesher, like with 0.5, and let the Zbrush to do the work to make a good topology. It might be needed to do this over and over again to get to a good target polygon count number.
So you keep Z remeshing the same Z remesh, essentially.
Yeah, for example,
Yeah,
it is ruined now. It's a total
no saving.
disaster now. Actually, for this part, I didn't use the remesher. I just used the topology brush.
Yeah.
But let's say this part. No, maybe yeah, this simple part. Maybe this is simple. Before that, I have to apply groups loops.
Mm-hmm.
Just to smooth the borders, and then I can apply the like that. Maybe I can make it lighter. Yeah, you can see this is a good topology. It has to be modified in some areas like this,
Mm-hmm.
but the basic topology is acceptable.
Yeah.
So I start so I start working on this mesh and add for example add thickness or more surface details like holes, or I don't know, some vents or anything I can add over it.
Mm.
And after that if I still needed more details, I can just turn this into Dynamesh and use the alphas for further details.
How do you find so cutting in, do you find yourself, are you working in the sense that you're working mainly from polygroups and then working your way up, so you're not having to you're not cutting your geometry too much, you're not doing are you doing a lot of welding and cutting and of your or in ZModeler, or how is that process for you look?
Yeah. I used to do that like a year ago. I used to make basic mesh with Dynamesh and cut the borders with clip curve brush. But actually, I wasn't pretty happy with the result. It wasn't clean in the areas of cutting, and that was really hard to get a polished surface, clean polished surface. So I prefer the new technique that I have figured out. This is the modeler basic. It's super polished and clean, and after all, it's super light. Look at the number of the polygons. It's super light, and but if I wanted to make this part with Dynamesh, it has to be over 1 million polygons, and that wasn't really as polished as it is now. So I think
can you show just like how you would use ZModeler, how you would maybe cut in some details? Can you show that? Just something on the nose. I'm just curious to see you work in ZModeler. I'm just always curious to see people work in ZModeler because it's such a different way of working from traditional poly modeling. So it's
exactly.
Yeah.
Zbrush has its own rules.
Oh yes, it does. It has its own rules.
That was and that's the main reason that not everybody can learn ZBrush exactly at the first. First, when somebody likes to learn ZBrush, it's really hard to get used to its rules. It's really different. The name, the tools, everything is different. But once you get used to it, it's super easy, and you start asking yourself, why the hell on earth all the other softwares are not like ZBrush?
Well, I'm not sure about the ZModeler, but I'm trying to learn to use ZModeler because I maybe think, well, I work in Dynamesh, I should just be doing the poly modeling in ZBrush. So,
for example,
I
am listening to. Yeah, for example, now I am welding these points just to make this area clear. Actually, I have to confess that that I am not a good polygon modeler. I am not really good with topology, but and really, I am not really concerned about the topology here. Although I am using,
really, right?
Although I am using ZModeler, but I am not obsessed with the topology. I just you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. For example, I applied.
I think it might be lagging here, so I'm just trying to watch you do something. It's lagging a little bit.
I am applying a new polygroup to these polygons, and another one to these polygons. and another polygroup to these polygons. You can easily paint polygroups here, and you can easily mask an edge loop like this, and I invert the mask. Oops, and I can just pull out this edge loop like this, and I can easily insert an edge loop like this. I will mask it, the same procedure. And
have you got hotkeys set to each one of these things, or are you're using that menu a lot?
No, the menu itself is really user friendly. It's pretty fast. There's actually I don't see any need to apply shortcuts. But for example,
and I guess you have to get your headspace into using the polygroups, don't you, to do a lot of your cutting and moving of certain vertices, right?
Pardon?
You have to kind of use these polygroups. They're pretty important, aren't they?
Yeah. I am still working with polygroups. Yeah, and I can easily extract polygroups, and I can orient polygroups like this. Yeah. Okay, now I need to apply some supporting loops in order to have some sharp edges. So one might be here, one here, and maybe I actually need to stitch these points together. Yeah, and apply a supporting edge loop. And I have to stitch these points too. Okay, now let's apply a crease PG, so it doesn't shrink when I apply a dynamic subdivision. Okay, you can see it. You can see this. It's super clean.
Yeah.
And I am happy with the result.
No, that's good.
Yeah.
Do you do much cutting into the into your mesh? Like, let's say if you were to do, I'm not sure if you've seen something like my helmet. Would you be able to do something like that in ZBrush using ZModeler? Or is that too intricate?
I don't really get what you mean about cutting.
So if you want to cut, because I know we're doing certain designs that you might need to cut into the topology and cut new vertices into different areas and create new, because I see the way you work, and I just wonder if you can cut, because I know with ZBrush you can cut vertice by vertice, but is there a way to, like, I'm not sure if you use other programs where you can kind of like cut really like slash against the cut right through the geometry, or is this limited in ZBrush?
I got you. I got it. You mean like these grooves? these lines, you mean? By
Yeah,
cut?
how would you do something like that?
Uh,
Is
I
that the
prefer
slash,
to use.
the
No,
slice?
no,
I mean,
it's
slice curve, slice.
no,
No.
it's just topological uh, approach to these cuts. I use panel loops.
Mm,
First, I apply different polygroups, and then I apply panel loops. So
mm.
it just makes like this effect. Let me show you. Let me see if we can uh, uh, on this part that we just worked on. For example, let's see if we want to make a cut here. I first select uh, select the parts that I want to be
I
cut
think
and apply a new.
I think it's
I,
lagging
I
just a little
apply.
bit, so I'm just trying to
Yeah,
see what you're doing.
I apply different polygroups to different parts, and then I can easily let me just apply different polygroup here too.
What happens if you wanted to cut it in a different across quads? How would you cut that across a quad? So in the middle of a quad, not based on topology.
There are ways. There are some ways. For example, the slice curves.
Mm. So you,
The slice curve brush. You can make a different pattern.
no, that should just cut pretty much anywhere you want, right? So, do
Yeah.
you use the slice curve to cut in um, geometry for when you need it, like to cut in details and things like that? Do you use that much?
Just look. Just look for now. See. Please take a look. This is how I make cuts based on topology.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you can see these cuts. Okay, but if you don't have the right topology to make cuts, you have to create the topology. So
Yeah,
after all, I cut based on topology. If I don't have topology, I make it.
yeah, and you use the slice curve to do that.
For example, I use the slice curve, and then I have to modify in some areas with the Z modeler. I, I might have to weld some points together or make new edges. But after all, I have to make cuts based on topology. So you can see it's really clean work.
Comes
And
out good.
yeah, and you can work on it even with the H polish brush. If you don't feel enough polish, if you think it's not enough polished, you can use the H polish, or even you can turn it into Dynamesh and continue working on it. But it's super good, and I am happy with the result. I think that's a good approach for hard surface.
It works well, and yeah, I'm still trying to get my head around using the menus and things like that. So it's so different. So
Yeah. Another advantage of this technique is that you have different polygroups for different areas already, so you can then easily apply different colors or different materials to these different parts. For example, this I can apply a new material to this green polygroup, or a different material to this yellow polygroup, and it's super easy because I do have the
So,
corresponding topology and polygroup. Yeah.
That's really cool. So if you wanted to add if you wanted to cut into that geometry and cut some new detail, how would you go about doing that? So if you want to just cut in something like a little rectangular square detail, would you be able to do that?
Yeah, of course. Let me see. Yeah, how about here? I can, for example, just apply a new polygroup, and I insert a new polygroup inside of it, and easily I make this. Well, I can sharpen these corners like this. Where is that? Yeah.
So you start hiding other geometry and cutting like that. Okay, I see.
Yeah.
So you end up using the polygon, hiding out polygons, and then using the split edge to cut in vertices. Yeah. So it doesn't cut.
Yeah. This.
Yeah.
No, I don't use the traditional clipping brushes or trim brushes. I don't really use that. But whenever I want to add details, I prefer to apply them topologically.
Yeah, and you have to hide other geometry for when you're cutting in. Because it will cut across the whole geometry, or it will create a loop.
I didn't want this loop to go through all to the end.
I just never thought about doing that in Zbrush, because I'm so used to using a cutting tool where you get the cutting tool and you cut by hand. So yeah, I was just wondering how you do it, and just never thought about that. Just basic things that should come to me, but I just hadn't worked with it enough to realize. But yeah, have you used creasing before in Zbrush?
I still use it. I still use creasing.
Yeah, creasing's really good. Yeah, I think people don't use it at all. I'm not sure why, but I know I didn't in the past. But I think it's a very underutilized tool, because you can get away with using it and no one really notice. It's kind of like, why not use it if you can? So, but yeah, no, it's really cool to see you work in Zbrush, and it's given me some more confidence to use it. And is there anything to consider when using ZModeler? What are some things that people should be aware of when they use it, you would say?
Let me first talk about the creasing that you just mentioned. And I have to add that the crease action is even more effective when you are using the ZModeler technique. You can apply crease to the edge loops directly, or to the polygroups, and there are really different actions about the creasing. You can see how much targets do I have in the crease button. I can crease a single polygon, polygroup border, for example, polyloop, or flat island. There are really various options, and you can do a ton of work with creasing. So crease is ideal when you are using the Z modeler. And your next question about the things that you have to keep in mind where you are when you are using the Z modeler. The only thing that I can say is to is before you use the Z modeler, try to have a rough dynamic model like this one that I have.
Mm.
Yeah, this is a dynamic, and I applied the rough details with the traditional ways of sculpting. For example, just using the slash tree brush or clay buildup brush, clay brush, things like that, and I do not start making meshes from scratch with Z modeler. I use a dynamic mesh as a basis, and then I use the Z modeler to modify that, to clean that, to make it lighter. And while I am doing that, I am I am considering the edge loops, the flows, and I am thinking about the details that I am going to add, and I try to find the corresponding edge loops and polygons. I think that's the most important thing that you have to keep in mind.
Mm. All right. Yeah. Yeah, that's really good insight. And, yeah, thanks for showing that. And I hope people can be more confident
Sure.
with ZModeler, because I know a lot of people don't use ZModeler, still using other stuff. I guess there's still pros and cons, ups and downs to everything. But yeah, do you want to show some of your inventor work?
Yeah,
I guess I
sure.
don't think I don't know. I haven't seen anyone really use Inventor apart from you and
Yeah,
Fausto. Um,
me neither.
yeah, but it seems like there's a potential to get a lot of cool, unique, intricate shapes versus other methods. So
Yeah, I haven't seen anybody to use Inventor as as a software uh, for designing 3D concepts.
mm,
Uh, it's uh, it's uh, it's more a software for the mechanical engineers. I haven't seen any artist using
mm,
that. Probably
yeah.
I am the only one.
Oh
But
yeah.
I found it really cool
How long did
software.
it take you to get your head around it? Because I know if it's not made for artists, it will be a little bit more involved and complicated. Um, did it take you a while to learn? Was it hard to learn?
Uh, uh, yeah, uh, of course. Actually, there is not a good tutorial in the web for artists to use Inventor.
Mm.
It's there are
You,
tutorials, but they are all for the
well, you should do
engineering
one.
design.
You should do one. Don't do it for YooHoo. Do it for like just a Gumroad, because YooHoo want to own all your stuff. So, um,
Uh,
are you
yeah,
going to really be releasing your dog tutorial on Gumroad?
uh, many people keep telling me that why don't you
Yeah, like I
want
wouldn't. I
to create a tutorial of
yeah.
Inventor?
I
Yeah,
wouldn't
maybe.
let YooHoo have all the rights to that tutorial if I was you, um, because it's a separate entity where you really can't see what's going on. So uh, I would like if you got the rights to that tutorial, I would release it on Gumroad and YooHoo, And because I've been in chats with them, and I think their 50-50 split is a bit much to artists.
Oh,
They're taking like 50% of the royalty of the thing just to translate it. So I think it's a little bit much. So I think, and they
yeah,
said
maybe next. Yeah,
an
maybe my
artist can
next
make
tutorial on Gumroad.
80K on one video. So I think you should do one for Gumroad and do it for everyone that just do it for yourself. Really, do it for you because you haven't done any tutorials for yourself, and yeah, just do one for you. It'd be great to see you do an Inventor one and a ZBrush one. So I really think you
Uh,
should do that.
yeah, thank you, thank you. Yeah, I might do that. Yeah,
Mm.
maybe I am thinking of my next tutorial to be uh, on Gumroad,
Mm.
and and uh, that will be my individual tutorial. Yeah, I am thinking about that. But for Inventor, maybe I don't have enough confidence about that.
Oh
Uh,
no way! Your Inventor stuff's pretty good. I
Thank you.
think you've done some pretty good stuff in Invent. I think you're underestimating your abilities here. I think yeah. I think you're pretty much up there with Moy. So you could show us a little walkthrough now. Just a little thing, make a little shape. You can see your work. So
Yeah,
using
I
the line
am.
tool.
Yeah, I am using the line tool. I am designing the profile of a link. I can say the main idea about designing in CAD softwares is that you start uh, designing by line. You design the profile by line and then extrude it and make it a 3D a, a 3D volume. So in Inventor, it is the same. You can see I am adding arcs at the end. And the good thing about Inventor is that you have really good menus, really good shortcuts.
And so to trim it, you just went to trim shortcut that you had.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. If you have worked with Maya, you can see that the right-click options are pretty similar to Maya. It's a circular menu. You can do it pretty fast without even seeing that, just by right-click and drag, and that's pretty fast. But you cannot see that in Moai 3D.
So
So
you have hotkeys set up here, don't you?
no, I don't have hotkeys.
Oh, okay.
Because I don't see any need for that. I think
I think there's always a need for
circular.
hotkeys. Makes it fast. You'd probably be
I think
even faster
this.
then.
I think the circular menu is fast enough, and the menu and all the buttons are really at the best place they can be.
Yeah.
So anyway,
Let's see you
so
do
this is
something with this.
yeah, this is the base, the basic of the part that I am going to make. So I just have to extrude it. You can see. What? Yeah. What the fudge? I can easily set the thickness.
So that is on a symmetry, working on a symmetry. Is that?
This is kind of symmetry. You can see I have different options.
Okay, yeah, that's very interesting.
I can extrude from this direction, that direction, or symmetrical,
Okay.
or uneven. For example, yeah, like this, this. You can see that in almost every action of the Inventor. So, uh, so this is the basic form, and the other feature of Inventor that my 3D does not have is the super cool archive of materials.
Mm.
You have almost every material in the world that you
Mhm.
want to have, and
It's
it
very cool.
gives you a pretty cool, yeah.
Mm.
You can even make a basic rendering out of it. You can apply, for example, shadows or even reflections on the ground. You can see that.
Mm.
Yeah, so there are some good options about the uh,
So how would
view.
you cut going and I have an idea how you would cut detail, but you could just show people how you would maybe do some. You've done some pretty cool, intricate detailing on your robotic legs. Maybe you can show a little bit
Yeah,
of that.
yeah, I am doing it. So I am making another cut here, and uh,
And I assume you've like turned snapping and things like that on.
mm, yeah,
Yeah.
uh, you can mm, uh, pick any existing line and use that as a reference. For example, I can take this line and I can offset this line, so I can be sure that there are parallel lines.
Mm.
So this is a really cool feature. Or I am going to use that more uh, later on, but for now, just uh, I am making a cut here. I will uh, I will mirror the details later on. I am just for now I am
So you did a Boolean
adding
cut for that.
I am working on one part. Yeah,
Yeah.
and one other good feature about Inventor is that you have access to all your actions from the scratch here,
Ah.
and once you finish a project, you can turn back to the first action and make a modification, and and uh, and you can see the result in your final work. That's a super cool
Do,
feature.
do
That,
you find that very useful?
of
Yeah.
course, that is really useful.
Mm.
I have used that several times before.
Nice.
But
So if you
you
went
can
back to
see,
the very first extrusion, it would show what you have there. So on the left there, on extrusion one, if you clicked it.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I will show you that. I will show you that. But let's make this details. You can see I am making offset out of this border easily, and I want to just make some quick details and apply a thickness. And since Inventor is an engineering software, you can always work with lines and you can have ultimate precision. Uh, However, for concept designing, I don't really get into numbers,
Mm.
but sometimes it can be useful. For example, I had a client a month ago, and he was obsessed with the numbers. He wanted to make a 3D print, and he was really worried about the numbers. So I used, yeah,
exact units to do what he wanted.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that can be a cool feature about Inventor.
Do you find, because it's Autodesk, right? And Autodesk have Fusion 360. Have you tried to compare the two?
Actually, I have tried Fusion. That was like, I'm not sure, 5 years ago. That was really long time ago. But I am pretty sure that Fusion is an awesome software too. That has some of the features from Inventor, and that is uh, and, and that can be a good software for concept designers, not for engineers. But of course, that is a lot simpler than Inventor, but that can be enough. I have seen artists that create pretty cool stuff with Fusion. So you can use that too. But at the time that I decided to choose Inventor, my only reason was that I didn't have access to other softwares, to Moai 3D or Fusion.
Okay. Yeah.
So I chose Inventor, and I tried to learn that. And I found that it can be good. It can be a good software. So now that I have my details done, it's time to add fillets, just to make it more realistic and eye-appealing. So you can work with numbers here. And you can see it automatically selects the loop for you.
Okay.
As far as I know, in Y3D you have to select the edges one by one. So
there's a script for that now installed, that you can do it if you're wondering about it. But this is definitely has it sorted there. I'm not sure why they have left that without. Exactly. You'd think it would be the first thing they would address. Yeah. It's an action that you use like 90% of the time.
Yeah, so it's pretty cool. I can just by one click I can add fillet to the whole loop. So you can see. So now the fillet is done. Oh, I forgot here. All right, and another feature of Inventor is that there are some ready-made holes that you can use easily.
Oh, really? That's really cool.
Yeah, you can see that. Only by one click you can add holes.
Yeah, and
that's a pretty cool feature. And there are all kinds of holes. For example,
that's really cool.
Look at this. Yeah, look at this one. I'm trying to. Okay.
So it
You
lets
can
you
see
do
that.
multiple screws at once, and
Yeah, exactly,
yeah.
exactly. Only
Is
by
there
one
literally a
click you
screw in
can
there, or is it just a hole?
you can you can design screws in Inventor, and there is a library of all the bolts and the screws here. Since it is a engineering software, you can access all the standards, and just by one click you can do that. But I never tried that. I I, I usually add the screws in ZBrush by M.A.N brushes. That's a
Just
lot
had to go
easier.
for a sec. Yep.
But yeah, that's okay. I uh, I was saying that I usually prefer to add the screws in ZBrush by M.A.N brushes. That's too much easier for me. Uh, yeah, because in ZBrush you can easily change the scale of the bolts. But since Inventor is an an engineering software, you cannot easily
Yeah.
just scale your parts and drag them and scale them, because numbers are really important here.
Yeah.
So yeah,
That's
so
where I guess that's
yeah,
where Moy and Fusion have the the easeability of doing such things.
yeah, maybe I don't remember that feature,
Mm.
but there must be, yeah. And I am now cutting the part from the center of the axis. Now I can easily mirror it. Yeah, now it's done.
Nice. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
very effective program, and it looks great with the shaders there.
yeah, thank you. But something cool about Moai 3D is that when you want to import, I'm sorry, export uh, from uh, from your software as OBJ in in uh, in Moai 3D, you have a lot of more options uh, with topology. You can modify the topology and see the result in real time, and that's pretty cool. You do have some options about the topology here, but it's a little more complicated. For example, oops, let's do this again. Yeah, yeah. Uh, uh, these are the options about OBJ exporting. You can select low, medium, or high
Similar to kind of
about
similar
the
to the
number of
Moy's slider.
polygons.
Yeah.
Yeah, about number of polygons,
Mm.
and you can tweak these sliders. But the thing is that you are not able to see the result on the model online. You can see that only when you import the file into ZBrush. But in My3D, you can see the result of playing with these options online on your model. So I think that's a pretty cool feature that Moit already has. And another cool feature about Moit Ready that I've recently found out, which makes it super cool software, uh, is that you are able to import OBJs into the software. Of course, you need to add a plugin script, but
yeah, with the new one, I don't think you have to. New one's already got it in there, but
yeah,
yeah,
in version 4, I think it is. it comes with the package, but since I am using version 3, it doesn't come with the script. But anyway, that's a really cool feature that you can import OBJ models, for example, from Zbrush or from any other software, 3ds Max, and that converts the subdivided model into a NURBS part, and that's
it's
amazing.
pretty cool. Yeah, it's limited with how complex you can go though, but hopefully in the future we'll be able to do some really complex conversion from sub D to NURBS. That would be great to push that.
But
Yeah,
but that's still amazing. That's still amazing. That's a really cool feature. I am thinking about designing the bases in the Z modeler with ZBrush, and then import them into my 3D, and then I can make cuts and apply more precision surface details. So that would be amazing. Yeah, that would be amazing. I am thinking about that. I am making trial and errors at this time, but I think that's a cool feature that Inventor does not support. So yeah, maybe I think the best pipeline is where I can use ZBrush, Inventor, and Moai 3D, all of them together, and use the advantages of each one.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, because you don't want to be making all these kind of really rigid shapes with. That's all. I think you want a mixture of those types of geometry and trying to work with everything. I think it's really ideal workflow. Yeah.
Yeah, I am not obsessed with any software. I just use any software that I feel it can be useful for me. And let me show you some other project that I have made with Inventor. That's totally made with Inventor, and that's
and
I
you
applied.
have to. So you have to import it into ZBrush because Inventor, you can't really bring everything together in there.
I have designed the parts in Inventor part by part, and I assembled them in ZBrush. I assembled them all in ZBrush, and as I told you before, I inserted bolts and screws in ZBrush. So I have to keep ZBrush in my pipeline. So I went really crazy with the details. I wanted to see how far I can go.
You did a great job.
And there I found that thank you. I found that details are never going to end, but that's my patience and my life is going to end. Yeah. For example.
So with one of the legs,
really crazy.
Yeah. So with construction of this, how much is entirely in Inventor in one scene versus like what part is what? Like, yeah. How are you kind of like putting this together in the sense that it's it seems like you're doing a good job at getting everything together there.
Sorry, I didn't get you.
So like, did you make the leg and then do another part and so on with each part? So this.
Okay. Let me show you the process of making this project. Let me see. About this project is one of the projects that I started with 2D sketching. I don't usually do that. I am not really good with 2D drawing, but in this project, I wanted to uh, make a mechanical vehicle based on an insect. So I did a couple of just rough silhouettes in Photoshop, and this was the one that I liked the most. So I then try to uh, make a rough 3D mesh in the ZBrush. I'm not sure if I have kept that. No, I don't have it. I'm I made
Kind of like a Dynamesh sculpture.
yeah, exactly. I made a Dynamesh, and then as soon as I was happy with the overall silhouette and overall form, I then splitted it part by part. For example, this part of the front leg is made of 4 or 5 links. This is one part, and I made these parts in Inventor one by one, and then I imported them into ZBrush, added more details like screws or things like that, cables, I don't know. And when each part was finished, I just assembled them all together in one ZBrush project.
And since you had the concept of the ZBrush one, that would have helped a lot. So no, that's a really good way. That's what I tell people. We should be trying to concept your designs to better aid where you want to take it.
Sorry, I'm sorry,
So
I didn't get you.
the way you made the concept would have aided in the process of making this one a lot, because you've built up the 3D concept and you've referenced it, built each part.
Yeah, exactly. I I'm I usually make a rough 3D concept, but in this case, I did make a 2D concept too, and I think that.
How similar were you to your Dynamesh design? Were you closely resembling the Dynamesh, or did you kind of like start deviating away from it?
I think I have lost the file. I have lost the Dynamesh
You're
rough
not
design.
sure.
I was trying to find it. Yeah, I didn't find it.
Mm.
But that helped me a lot about the silhouette and the feel of the 3D. I mean, you can orient around it, and you can see that in all the angles and make it perfect. And then I moved into Inventor and focused on each part individually. And yeah, and then assembled all together in a ZBrush project.
So each part, these are all separate parts that you've divvied up,
Yeah.
essentially. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. For example, the cabin, the weapon, the I don't know, these solar panels, these front legs and back legs, and even these small arms, these ones. I just designed them one by one, and yeah,
Yeah,
and
great.
assemble them together.
Mm.
I wanted to test my skills with Inventor. I wanted to see how far I can go with the details.
Mm.
And yeah, at the same time, I was trying to make a mechanical creature based on an organic creature, but this time, this is not a certain a, a certain organic creature. It's just being inspired by organic forms, not a certain insect or animal. Uh, I can say
Mm.
maybe an alien creature. Yeah,
Mm.
uh, I have named it mantis, but it's not uh, anything close to mantis.
Mm.
Maybe an alien
That's
mantis.
really
Yeah.
cool. You did a great job. How long have you spent on this one? I'm soon really
On
sort of
this
spent.
one, it took me pretty long,
Mm.
maybe 1.5 months.
Mm.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's a
yeah,
lot of work.
yeah,
Mm.
indeed. But I did it in my spare time.
Mm.
I wasn't really uh, busy with that every day. Uh, but
Just
but it
chip
took
away
me
at it.
pretty long. Yeah.
Mm.
So let me show you another work. Let me see. Yeah, this one. This is another mechanical creature, but this time a different style. Oh, wait. I think I found it. Yeah, let's
I can
see.
see it. Yeah, that's a.
Yeah. This is the basic rough 3D sculpt
Mm.
that I was going to get. You can
Looks.
see
It looks actually
it
nothing
is.
like it really. In a way, it does, but
Yeah,
you've
yeah,
really taken it
yeah,
and mm.
yeah. In the in the process, it's changed a little,
Mm.
but yeah, I added more arms and I in- in- increased the size of the weapon and I removed the tail
Mm.
and I changed the shape of these. I don't know what are they called,
Antenna.
antennas or
Mm.
yeah. And I enlarged the cabin, but the overall form is somehow the same.
Mm.
So
It's come out great.
actually, this is a good example to say that I don't have a promise to stick to the initial concept since
Mm.
it's my personal project. So uh, I can change it anytime that I feel I have a better idea.
Mm. Nice. Yeah.
Yeah. Uh, I was going to show you this one. This is another mantis. Uh, uh, this is real gigantic. You can see these stairs, these uh, radars, these antennas, and but when you zoom back, you can see it's actually the head of a mantis. And when you zoom back even more, you can see the claws. And yeah, this is a super gigantic mantis. Uh, yeah,
That's pretty
this
cool.
is
Yeah.
uh, yeah. Thank you. I I I again applied really tiny details in this design, but you can see it's obvious that the style, the hard surface style is much different from the previous projects. It's more like a realistic approach to the machinery. It's inspired by gigantic cranes
Mm.
and ships. I studied in tons of references uh, many cranes. I even created a M.A.N brush set for this project with about maybe more than 500
Oh
IMM
wow.
parts. Yeah.
And that's
So
just like ladders and stairs and things
yeah,
like that.
ladders, and you can see these tiny, for example, uh, buckets. I don't know, these screws, these lights or these devices. I don't know what are they. Anything.
It's quite
It's
a
pretty
massive
heavy.
project.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's a massive project. I cannot easily move. But yeah, you can see the pipes inside. You can see these. What are they called? There are IMM brushes.
Nice. That's
So
yeah.
this is another approach to hard surface designing, and another uh, strategy of designing hard surface. And one thing that I was considering in this project that was very important for me is the functionality of this giant machine.
Mm,
It's not it, it's not visually inspired by real machinery, but uh, it's functionally correct.
yeah,
I
it
mean,
is.
the legs and the front legs. You can see these hydraulic jacks. You can see these links. They are all designed in a way that they can really move
Mm,
in, in a proper way. And and uh, and I and in this project, I just wanted to try something else. I found out that designing a gigantic machine is not like designing uh, a usual robot and resizing it to a very large scale, but
mm,
you have to use certain details that uh, that are addressing the scale of the machinery. For example, uh, these stairs, these, for example, these lights. There are all some familiar elements
mm,
that address scale. So,
mm. To show
and
scale and
yeah,
size. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, exactly. So it's not just like designing a usual robot and scaling it. So,
Mm,
uh, but you have to consider the elements that you are going to use, and make it somehow that it can be functional, and
mm,
uh, it can be at the same time productable.
mm,
I mean, it can be made.
mm,
I looked at references, and you can see that structures these structures are familiar to us.
mm.
We see that usually in gigantic structures like I don't know, uh, the giant ships, the giant cranes, or
Mm.
uh, the sea stations that they extract oil.
Yeah.
Uh,
And the
yeah,
big digging, they've got big digging machines that look a bit like
yeah,
this.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Big,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So these are some familiar
Mm,
elements for us that we only see them in gigantic machines. So all of these together help that we can believe
Mm.
that this is a real giant machine, even if we see it in a small scale.
Mm.
But we believe that it, it is really giant.
Mm. Well, it is really big, like it's huge. It's
Yeah,
massive. But yeah, if you I guess you can I don't know if you want to show maybe one more, and we can
yeah,
because we've
sure.
been
Yeah.
going for a while. Maybe one or two
I
if you're
have
really keen to.
I have another mantis. Yeah,
Another
I told you I
mantis.
love mantises.
Mm.
Yeah, yeah, another mantis. We saw the final render at the beginning of our talk.
Yeah.
Not sure if it is still here. Uh, Let me show you again. Yeah, this one. This is this is the mantis I am talking about. This is still a huge mantis,
Mm.
but you can see there is a different style. I didn't want it to be terrestrial. It's
Mm.
kind of alien tech, but it
Mm.
still has some elements that we can see. It's a huge robot. For example, I don't know, these small cables or
Mm.
these small uh, surface detailings, these
Mm.
small antennas.
So doing it
So
scale. Yeah.
yeah, they yeah, and the thing about this one is that I was trying to improve my Z modeler skills in this
Mm.
project. This is a little older, but I created it all by Z modeler. So the final model is pretty light and low poly,
Mm.
and it's really uh, cool. You can see that you can design really cool meshes with Z modeler.
Mm.
Really,
Yeah, it is.
really, yeah, really clean meshes, and that's and that's really lovely. I like that.
Mm.
That was like a challenge for myself to improve my
The clean geometry and.
Z
Mm.
modeler skills.
What did you do differently for this one?
Uh, um, I said the main challenge in this design was to use the Z modeler, and I wanted to be uh, quite similar to the organic reference.
Mm.
So I didn't change the concept too much. It's almost look like a, a real mantis,
Mm.
although I have to convert some of the organic shapes into mechanical corresponding shapes. For example, these joints and these sharp parts that do exist in the
Mm.
organic reference, but I have to convert them into the corresponding mechanical parts.
Mm.
These these uh, crowns, I don't know what are they called, antennas,
Mm.
or these eyes. These eyes, they are the basic form is pretty close to the organic form,
Mm.
uh, but it's an absolutely a mechanical part.
Mm.
It is similar to us. It is familiar for us. I
Mm.
want to say. Uh, so yeah, so
That's really cool.
uh, there these were my challenges in designing uh, this creature.
Mm. No, that's awesome. Yeah, that's really cool. Seeing how you work and checking out all your work there, and yeah, I'm not sure what else to ask you. Or it seems like we went through a lot of stuff, and that was great insights. But yeah, do you have anything else to say?
Uh, Actually, I think I said everything
Yeah.
about my workflow. I
Mm.
want to say that I love your works.
Oh, thanks.
It's been a couple of years, maybe from your beginning of the work. I
Mm.
was following you in the CG galleries. I actually have a folder by your name in my archive. I have all
Yeah.
your I have
Yeah.
all your works, and I can just keep looking at them for hours.
Mm.
Uh, I can, getting deep into the details, just
Mm.
thinking about, oh my God, who can who can detail uh, who can detail design such details.
Mm.
So I
I've
really
yeah.
can I con- I congratulate you
Oh,
for
thanks, man.
these awesome works. They are
You
pretty
too.
cool. Thank you. So I am I am a real fan of you.
Oh, thanks.
I want you to know that. Yeah. So that was a real pleasure for me
Mm.
having this chat with you, and I want to uh, keep in touch with you in the
Oh,
future.
sure. Yeah, I would like to keep in touch and just discuss certain little tools and things like that and tips and whatever comes to our mind. And it was great to see you use the Z modeler, because I've been pretty curious on how to use it. I'm still unsure if I would use it, because I'd use it in such a way where um, the flexibility of working with uh, doing subdivision modeling, I tend to be very like messy at the start, and I think you work in a very clean way. Like I'm very messy from the start, and then I work and clean it up. I have a lot of I go through a lot of shape exploration and like trying to like push certain things in um, certain ways of. I guess I like to, as you can see in my work, I like to push things in a way where there's something new with every design, and I think you do the same. You're doing that essentially also, but yeah, it's I guess working with Z Modeler, you've really you don't see people do it. It would be interesting to see how you go on a thing like Maya or something like that. But yeah, I guess we'll leave the interview there. I think we've been going for maybe 2 hours and I don't know 10 minutes, 20 minutes. Not sure how long. I'm trying to keep these not go for too long, but yeah, if in the future we can catch up and do another kind of breakdown and showing of these videos and things like that, and yeah, it's pretty crazy to see that's all done in Inventor, and all the tubes have been done in Inventor and things like that, all the pipes and
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. They're all done in Inventor, unless these pipes they are ZBrush work, but everything else is done in Inventor. Yeah.
Even the seat.
No. No, the seat is
Yeah.
also done in. Let me see. I think I did a base mesh in Inventor of the seat, but
And you
I
can
redesigned that in Inventor
in
in ZBrush. Yeah,
yeah, thought so.
yeah.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, it's been great chatting, and if you guys want more of these artist spotlight interviews, like and subscribe, and let me know if you're liking these videos. Until next time, guys, take care.
Thank you.
All right.